Just like to offer a big shout out to Touchdown Digital, the sponsor of this week's video. Hello, Glenn Samuel here, and you're watching Sniper Photography. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about a subject which I'm very passionate about, and it's something that I don't often see, hear or read people doing or talking about themselves. Now this subject is, I believe, very, very important. It even overrides the technical aspects of what you know about photography. And what I mean by that is that you can be technically perfect with your photography. You would know what f-stop to use, what aperture to use for your depth of field, what ISO to use for a certain subject or scene, shutter speed to equate to all that, so you don't get any blurry or out of focus images. Now, I've seen plenty of technically perfect images, both on the internet and in print form, but I find that they don't really move me. Now, this is quite a strong thing that I'm going to be talking about. Now, the subject that I want to talk to you about is creating emotion in your images. Now, the idea is to, when you take a photograph, you need to do two things. Make sure that you tell the story, and make sure that you put emotion into that file. We're talking about digital files, and I'll be mentioning digital files as I go along, because that's what this is. So the digital file must contain all the technical aspects of taking a photograph. Now, but it doesn't stop there. As I said, I've seen thousands and thousands of images which just don't move me. Now, if they don't move me, what chance do you have when someone is just looking at your photographs? I mean, now this is coming from over 40 years of experience of photography and 25 years as working professionally. Now, when I take professional shots or images for my clients, it doesn't matter whether I'm photographing a plate of food for a restaurant or a magazine, that image has to make the viewer feel like he wants to eat it straight away. That's creating emotion, and there's ways of doing that. With our personal photography, and I'll use landscape as like a description or an example. When you take a photograph of a big waterfall, a powerful waterfall, is it better to have a slow shutter speed to slow that water movement down, or to have a faster shutter speed to show the impact? Because I've seen plenty of photographs of waterfalls where there's been no impact. If you're photographing a huge waterfall, you want to make the viewer feel like he's got water or she's got water splashing on her face. That's creating emotion. Now, every day, billions and billions of images get posted on social media, and that's probably where everybody goes to these days. But how many are actually stopped and looked at? We're living in a society which I call flicker society, where they just flick, 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 flick. They just turn around to, you know, have a look, have a look, have a look. But I find that if you can create an image which is powerful, tells a story and creates emotion with the viewer. Creating emotion, I believe, is far superior or more important to actually being technically perfect. Who cares if you're slightly underexposed or slightly overexposed? People will see through that if there's a story and there's emotion. You have to create emotion. And our emotion starts before you even take the lens cap off your lens. You need to look at the scene and think, well, how am I going to convey this message to the viewers? Because what photography is, it's drawing with light. That's what it is. If you go back through the Greek times, that's photography means that, drawing with light. So that's what you're effectively doing. Now, creating emotion is paramount to any image you take. Whether you're a landscape photographer, seascape photographer, macro photographer, portrait, sport, it doesn't matter. The idea is to take your time so you can feel that emotion. Whatever you're feeling at the time you push that shutter button will transfer through to the image. I can give you a gold-plated guarantee that's how it works. Okay, so the idea is to, when someone looks at your image, they want to be fixated on it. They want to not flick past to the next one. You want to hold their attention. And this is why I admire the great old street photographers, such as Bruce Geldon and you know, these people, Vivian Mayer, they captured images which were just mesmerizing. You look at the war photographers, they're photographing scenes which are basically horrific, but they make you feel something. They make you feel like war is war and living on the street is living on the street. And you can do that too if you're a landscape photographer, a seascape photographer, a macro photographer. You know, if you take a photograph of a spider, you want to focus on his eyes. It looks like he's going to come out and jump at you. That's creating emotion to the viewer. The idea is you don't want to represent the scene as a flat scene. You don't want anything attached to it that's going to detract from the viewer's view. I think going out and looking at the scene first, doesn't matter whatever you're photographing, you have to create a sense of emotion. When I do portrait photography with CEOs and I have this nice headshot, I don't have the CEO look like this, because bosses are traditionally known as being, you know, not very nice. So I get the CEO to smile, to welcome anybody into that business. So you have to think about your scene and you have to think about what story you're going to tell or what you're trying to convey to the viewer, because there's far, far too many images out there that people just skim past. And if you want to, I'll give you a free tip, if you want to advance your photography from where you are today to the next level and go to the next level and branch away or distance yourself from what we call the also-ran photography out there, well then think about creating emotion in your images. Create powerful images. Doesn't matter if you take 20 images and one's got a powerful aspect to it. That's the one you want. That's how you've got to do it. Now, as I said, you look at social media, even here on YouTube, you see images which, well, basically they don't move me. If an image doesn't move me, I go look at something else. But if I see an image, and I'm not talking about, oh geez, that's technically perfect. If you know anything about photography, you can take a technically perfect photograph. It's almost impossible with the modern cameras these days to mess this up. But if I see a photograph that actually, geez, that's in a powerful image, that feels like I'm there. If you can hear, when people say, look, I've seen your images and it feels like I was standing right next to you when you took that photograph, that means it's worked. You've created a sense of urgency and a storyline and also emotion. Photography is all about emotion. It's emotion from you, the person that takes the photograph or the digital file, and the person looking at the image. There's two people involved here. There's the person behind the camera and there's a person in front of the camera that's looking at your image. So you've got to think about the people that will see your image, and you have to make sure that you give them something. Give them something to hang on to, give them something to think about, and give them something to comment, such as, I feel like I was standing right next to you when you took the photograph. So this is an interesting subject. Let me know what you think. Put your comments down below. I'd certainly get back to you as soon as possible. Creating emotion is something that I try and do. I've been trying to do that all my life for over 40 years behind a camera, whether professionally or for personal use. I believe that is a very, very important aspect of our photography. So let me know what you think. So that's it for another episode of Sniper Photography. Thank you for joining me here today. It's been nice to have you along for the ride. Any new subscribers, thank you for that. It's much appreciated. And for current subscribers, thank you for your comments. So as I always say, until then, you keep smiling, you keep shooting. Bye for now.